What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Nick Underhill. Of course, the Saints back in New Orleans tonight at Yeoman Stadium. I meant to mention this earlier. 7 p.m. tonight, guys. If you want to go watch your New Orleans Saints, it'll be in the Superdome on Friday. Doors open at noon. Practice starts at 1. If you're going to check it out. Nick, how does it feel to be back from Irvine?
Oh man, it's amazing. It was a long time. Like, it was cool out there. It was great to have practice out there. The weather was awesome from 9 until 11. Sure, it was cool. But like, not being able to go home for 28 days, that's
Awful.
a really long, that's a month. Like,
Awful.
that's a 12th of a year.
That's why I
Like,
retired.
So yeah, getting back last night was that felt amazing. Just kind of felt like, being set free a little bit from just kind of being stuck there. So yeah, no, it's amazing to be back. I could use like 2 days off, but hey, we're gonna keep it rolling tonight out in Yeoman. It'll be cool to finally feel like the fans' energy. That was like a really bizarre and weird situation to kind of have it set up like that, where you couldn't really, feel the energy of the fans. So that's going to be cool. They got that one today. They got a fan practice, I believe, on Friday at the Superdome as well. It's going to be good to kind of like, it's going to feel real tonight, like when you can hear the fans and everything.
So, Nick, I am the head of the Carnies, and I am prosecuted on the daily, right? Persecuted, I should say. And my response now has simply been, I probably will, but that's for other things. Nothing to do with football.
Yeah.
My response to them has been 16 plays, 95 yards. Okay. How about it? Actually, a ridiculous drive. Like, truly. 16 plays, 95 drive is as crazy of a drive as you'll find. Let me ask you this. When asked about the drive on the sideline, Derek Carr went out of his way to still say, look, this is very basic sort of stuff that we are calling here in this preseason games. What are the differences that you're seeing in practice versus maybe what was done on that 95-yard drive?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff we've seen in practice that we haven't seen in a game, and the stuff that we're seeing in practice, it's exciting. Like a lot of motion on a shovel pass to Taysom Hill, like stuff that's just kind of opening up the middle of the defense. They're using some motions in these games, but it's not nearly like what we're seeing. They aren't doing, the stuff that like really kind of at times looks like it breaks a really good defense in practice. So we haven't really seen any of that stuff yet. There's some route concepts that we haven't seen yet. There's stuff they're doing with Chris Olave to get him in different spots that we haven't seen in a game yet. And the stuff we're seeing with Taysom is just kind of, like I said, it's scratching the surface. I mean, like we're limited on like what we're allowed to say on what we're seeing, especially like during the walkthrough for the first time ever this year. So I don't want to be the guy that brings down that
Look, you got to maintain relationships. I understand that. We don't need specifics.
I mean, it's just you got to sign a paper to get to be allowed to cover it. Like, you're just not allowed to talk about certain. Yeah, I mean, and that's league wide. That's not the Saints. That's NFL wide. Like, and we break the rules every day. Like, you aren't even really supposed to formation there and like stuff like that. But I mean, there's I think there's a level of just kind of be cool about what you're saying here, and like you guys can get away with a little bit over here. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we've seen that just hasn't been out there yet. And I think the creativity that we've seen right now is like on like a 10 out of 100. I don't think we've seen really any of it to this point yet. So I think there's gonna be a lot more, but that drive did look good. I mean, it was needed. The first two drives, I think the timing of the passing offense is still completely off though. I mean, like that pass hit Cedric Wilson kind of in the face mask, but if you look at the all 22 of it, like it's behind and high and late. Like, that pass really wasn't there. There was a 19-yarder to Olave that kind of came in behind him. He had to reach back to get it a little bit. So he threw that same out route, I think, to Olave against Arizona, and it was kind of misplaced there too. So I think there's a handful of things with the timing. I do believe in I don't want to be held to this because like it needs to be looked at more. The sample size is too small. Like it does kind of look like Derek's mechanics have changed a little bit. Like it looked like he played a little bit more upright last year, and it looks like he's more in a loaded position this year. So that's a good thing. I kind of want to see if that's a real perception or a misperception based on a small sample. But it looks like maybe some of the throws with him are coming out a little bit more on time with his footwork, but like maybe it just needs to dial in a little bit more, on the field through reps, practice, being in games, and maybe it'll get there. But there were some encouraging things. I'm not there yet. Like we got fooled last year on an amazing drive and thought the Saints were going to be world beaters on offense. So, 1 for 5 or whatever it is, like that's not enough, but it definitely looked good. I think that was definitely the first sign of seeing like, okay, if they're really good at running the ball, this is what it can do for the offense. Like that was encouraging.
Yeah.
They don't have their best running back available. That's encouraging because, he's going to be ready for week 1. So, I mean, there's a handful of things that I think are trending maybe possibly the right direction.
Nick, I want to go to the other side of the football because there's a couple of edge rushers that I want to get to, and we'll get to Isaiah Foskey a little bit later on. I'll ask you about Peyton Turner here to start off with. What does it say about a first-round pick that people get excited that he had a good rush move and a pressure that didn't even end up in a sack? And I went back and I watched the tape. He actually played worse than I thought he did initially in my first watch. I mean, he just didn't play well the other night. And everybody's like, yeah, but did you see that one move and that one pressure? It's like, okay, you're a first-round pick, and then the preseason, we're talking about a rush move that you had that didn't end up in a sack.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got excited about seeing a couple almost plays myself after after that game, and I mean, it's just like signs of life, It just feels like, I don't know, but yeah, I didn't think it was a great game on the review. I was a little embarrassed that I hyped it up in my initial post game report because it was like, man, did you see him? He was like right there, and it's just like that's not enough. You're right. Yeah. It's not good. I mean, he's shown it, but it's not good that's kind of the stuff that we're getting excited about. And I mean, I think that is kind of, a little bit revealing that that's kind of the way you view him. You aren't grading him against that Chase Young standard, which it should be. They're both first rounders. It's I do think he's going to be a contributor this year, though. So that's a good thing. They're going to get something out of him. I think he can be a fine rotational player. But like as far as living up to the draft billing, I think it's pretty clear that ship is sailing at this point. And Foskey, you mentioned him. It's disappointing there too. I mean, I think you could probably make the argument that those guys were maybe the worst players out there on the defense in that game. It's it's not going the right direction, I don't think, for either one of them. But I'm extremely more confident in Peyton Turner than I am Foskey. I mean, we've seen it at least in practices. Like last year's camp was really good, and then he got hurt. This year you've seen it a little bit more. It wasn't as loud in camp as it was last year, but I think, there's going to be some games where you at least feel like he had a good game. I have no idea at all what to expect from Foskey right now.
I don't even know that he can help you on special teams, Nick, and that's the problem. Like you're an edge rusher that you were brought in to rush the quarterback. You haven't done that at all, but I'm not even sure you can help us on special teams. As a second-round pick, that's a tough pill to swallow because – okay, we're not going to get the value we thought out of you, but at least you can be a core 4 type guy on teams and give us some help there. He hasn't been great there either.
He hasn't, and it's kind of weird too because, like, I think they've probably done a pretty poor job of drafting defensive ends. Period, like up and down. And then Foskey's off type. Like he's more athletic. He's a little bit smaller. He's a big school guy. He has real college production. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame's all-time sack leader. Like. That's a real accomplishment. And then he just kind of comes in and it's the same thing. Yeah. I don't understand what the disconnect is. And they've put a lot of resources there and they're just kind of in this weird bad position where it's a big question mark, and it should be, given the resources, like they should be pumping guys through there. And it's the spot that's just kind of been a black hole for them. Linebacker used to be that, and they kind of figured that out. I don't know what it is at that spot. Like they want the big, strong guys. And, on paper, these guys really should work, and Foskey really should work. But he doesn't right now. Yeah. And I don't know what it's going to take to get there. He talked about confidence during the offseason and kind of like losing it. I don't know if what he's doing now is going to help him find it. Like, I don't know what the disconnect is there, but across the board, I mean, it's incredibly disappointing. And I think, if this team doesn't dig its way out of it, I think you can point I don't know if it's the number one issue, but it's like a top 2-3 issue, like for the deterioration of this team. And like if those guys are hitting, then you can take the Chase Young money and maybe that's your tackle. Like it's just the resource allocation doesn't work. But then on the other side, like they shouldn't need the tackle either because Trevor Penning should be good. You know, I still don't really believe in that yet either. So it's just tough on those trenches, man. Like it's so much put there, and they just have not been able to get the right guys.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.